So if I open up YouTube, here we go, live now. Right, I'll give you a new link. So yeah, we are live on this new one. I'm so sorry about that. Share, copy link. Right, and we can tweet this out real quick. My apologies to anybody that's already jumped back on. I've just messaged you the new link on Twitter, and now there we go. You should have it.
That's a new link, yeah.
Yeah, that's the current show. There's already a few people watching. Yes, one day, Jesse, we will have one Chasing Descent without technical difficulties. One day, it will happen. My internet it spiked and it overloaded. It went to over a gigabyte a second of upload and then just puffed out. It was really weird. So anyway, let's just continue where we left off. You were talking about a tweet from GB News. Go on.
Oh no, it was actually a parody account. It was a parody account that looked like GB News. And then it said Dan is taking some time off for the foreseeable future. And I thought, oh, it's GB News. It wasn't. It looked like it. But, however, he is on holiday at the moment in New Zealand.
So what a time for it to happen.
Yeah, so but he has been liking tweets and he has deleted all his tweets about Hugh Edwards.
Interesting.
So look,
interesting.
I cannot say at all, and this is what I think does need to happen more. We should want the truth, not to be proved right about something. And I think too many people want to be proved right now.
Yeah,
like they've got some like chip on their shoulder, rather than actually find out any truth. I want to find out the truth about Dan Wootton.
Yeah.
I'm not suddenly just going to start going, oh, he must be guilty. Well, I don't know.
Well, exactly. Before we went down, I said to you, let's deconstruct what's happened with the Hue Edwards saga. Because I want to deconstruct it, okay? So we have these people coming out and making these claims. And the initial story comes out in The Sun. And I read it, and we went on live, I believe it was on Friday. And I started preaching caution immediately, because I looked at this story and it said it made a myriad of allegations. It said that the kid was first of all a kid. Second of all, it said this kid was a crack addict. Third of all, it said that the parents who had made this report, and this was the way it was worded in The Sun, and this is what really bothered me. It said the parents have seen bank statements to that effect. It did not say we have seen bank statements to that effect. It said the parents have said that they have seen bank statements to that effect. And do you know what? If somebody had come to me with a story like that and said, oh, don't worry, I've seen it, I wouldn't have reported it. I just couldn't have. I would never have run with that. So
I think that they could have run the story anyway, just because he's a role model for the BBC. At the end of the day, whether the person was over 18 or under 18, he still cheated on his wife, right? She's got 5 children.
But how do we know that? I was going to say, how do we know they're not doing it together?
Well, it's possible. This is what I keep saying. I mean, it doesn't sound like it from the statement she's put out. But as I keep saying to someone, you can't keep saying the so-called truthers say we don't believe anything in the mainstream media, but they believe anything in the mainstream media, Ben, when it fits their own narrative.
I completely agree with you. And I keep saying this on Chasing Descent. I keep turning around and saying to people, the mainstream media are not wrong about everything. Okay. They are wrong a lot, and they do lie, but they're not wrong about everything. And you just have to go back to the adage that a broken clock is right twice a day. And at certain points, at certain times, their reporting is going to be truthful. It is going to be factual.
And this is what I was saying about. So I had the same thing about when Nigel Farage came out, and Nigel Farage said about his bank account, and I said, he's got a history. He's an infamous narcissist who has a history of lying. I said, just because Nigel Farage comes out and says it and it fits your narrative, right? Yeah, you can't then suddenly say it's definitely true. I said, let's get some more information here. personally, I don't believe the story he's telling. And then, of course, when a BBC report comes out and says, well, actually, it wasn't to do with anything that he's claiming about politics. It's because he didn't, he didn't
enough
fit
money.
the right threshold.
Yeah, he didn't have enough money.
And it was And do you know what everyone came back at me and said? It's the BBC. I will never trust one word the BBC writes for the rest of my life. And I went, well, aren't you just using confirmation bias? Are you honestly telling me, right, that BBC will never write one accurate word for the rest of their life? We're supposed to be finding out what the truth is, not just saying, that's it, it's BBC. And to me, Farage and the BBC are just as bad as each other. So the truth of the matter with that story is I didn't believe either of them. They're both embellishing the story for their own, needs or benefits. But we don't really know the truth there anyway, and that's what we're trying to find out.
Exactly.
We've got to try. If we expose the corruption in a rational and logical way, without reacting quickly and emotionally, we can stop this corruption. But if we act like the gutter press and jump to conclusions every single time something comes up, we are just as bad as the people we're trying to fight against. You can't fight the same battle with lowering yourself to that terrible level. And that's exactly what the Awake or Truther community has started to do. They've become just as bad as the nasty journalist in the mainstream media. They're not interested about truth. They're not interested about finding out any facts.
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you because I have tried one of the main things I think I have tried to keep me and John on the path of is never joining a group, right? And never becoming part of a group and never painting ourselves into a movement, because you're absolutely right. People's bias or group bias seems to take over, and groupthink is just as strong in this group of people as it is in other groups of people. And do you know what? People on that side of the aisle can and do get things wrong, and they do it regularly. Right?
Yes, they do.
They do.
And I would also like to say I get really fed up with people saying the conspiracy theorists have been right about everything. That's absolutely rubbish. The conspiracy theorists were right about some things.
Yeah.
They also said we'd be in a gulag. They also said, right.
I was looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to my gulag.
Oh, yeah. They also said that the economy would be destroyed by now. They also said that we'd be on rations. They also said that we'd already be under a social credit system. Do you see? I could keep going on.
Yeah.
They haven't been correct. They've been as correct as other people. There's only been... They also said that everybody would be dead now. If every single person would be dead now if they took that vaccine. And
it's not the case.
I know, but you're not allowed to say. It's like there's this narrative that you have to stick to, and it's like the only people on Twitter now, they just regurgitate these old tweets from COVID and they go over the same thing.
If you notice, I rarely tweet at all anymore. All I really tweet is promotion of our shows. If people want to know what I think, they can come to the shows. I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's why I've tried to do that positive thing on Twitter, because I'm literally realising the algorithms have changed now. So they only push sensationalist content. People are so, obsessed with their dopamine hits. They want their likes, their clicks and the follows. The new algorithms won't give them that. Yeah. So they have to retweet and post sensationalist content. It's the only way.
Absolutely.
And it's become a behavioral psychology tool and an app, and it's pushing these stories. They're literally using social media now to push their agenda. They want you to put these awful photos on. They want you to put these awful videos. You're doing their job for them, and you're claiming you're waking people up. You're not doing anything of the sort. You're in an echo chamber.
Do you know what?
You're making these tweets go viral and basically pushing the agenda for them, and they're sat there laughing at you.
Do you know what, boys and girls? This woman here is singing from my hymn sheet, right? Yeah. You need to come and be in the audience for Chasing Dissent more often, because I sit here and I say this shit all of the time. And do you know what? There are people that would have, quote unquote, supported us back in COVID who'll probably call us this, that and the other for saying this stuff. And do you know what? I don't care.
I'm not here for likes and follows,
Mm.
right? I'm here to do what is morally and ethically what I think is correct. I'm losing followers on a daily basis.
Do you care?
No, because I'm saying what I believe. And I could tomorrow, if I wanted to get up more followers, I could post, you know, the look at the awful pride pictures. Let me show a naked photo again. But there's children in the photo. And even though I'm exposing and pushing paedophilia, that's absolutely fine, because it will get me more clicks and likes and follows. And let me say more racist tweets again about immigration, and show lots of like fake videos from like at any time in the world, and pretend they're violence from an immigrant in this country, and add a racist comment to it, and that will get me more likes and follows. I'm not doing that. I'm not interested. I'm interested in the truth.
Yeah, me too.
And that's all I was. That's why I started doing it. That's why you started doing that. But it's not popular, Ben. People don't want to hear what you've got to say. They just want you to confirm their confirmation bias and confirm their narrative. Like the main one I know we agreed on is the vaccine thing. So if anyone dies, oh, it was the vaccine. It was definitely the vaccine.
We call this out all of the time, right?
I know, it's embarrassing.
But not only is it embarrassing, I'm going to say this as plainly as I possibly can, and I've said this before, but the more that people do this, and the more that they say that is responsible for absolutely any and every death that they see, the more they discredit the times that it might be. Because what they are doing is they are creating a moral panic, a moral outrage, and they're making it up. And I mean, I'm going to say a name. I'm going to say a name, and I say it often, so anyone who listens to Chasing Dissent will know this. Stu fucking Peters. Shut up.
Don't. That die suddenly did so little for our community. You know, it was the most rubbish, sensationalist crap.
Yep.
It does everything which we criticise the other side at the start of COVID doing. It was literally only show one side. They showed evidence to fit their hypothesis. He wasn't interested
a lot of the deaths in it were nothing to do with it.
No, literally.
Nothing to do with it.
There was no scientific thought running through it at all.
No.
He just went, this is my idea, and I'm going to find things to say that this is what's happened with
Remember the Hydras? Remember the Hydras?
No, don't.
Same person, Stu Peters. The thing is, go back to the idea of sensationalism. It's this kind of sensationalism. It's people like Stu Peters. It's people like Dom Bloody Luca. It's these people with massive followings because they say the most outrageous, stupid, dumb shit that confirms bias.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I said this on Twitter the other day, and I think you'll agree. People are claiming to be awake, but awake now fits them in this kind of very old narrative. I believe part of the lockdown strategy was to ensure people got addicted to the internet and social media. They knew within COVID that it was the TV that was guiding them more, but they knew that the social media tool for indoctrination and brainwashing, and their tool for behavioral psychology, it needed to be social media. So by locking us down, they got us all addicted to social media, me being one of them. Twitter addict throughout lockdown, as is Ben, but now they're using that same tool against us, changing the algorithm and pushing sensationalism. They are planting things for us to go in. They've literally turned the Awaker community against itself. They're planting stuff to discredit us, and then people don't even think about it and then go share it. That's how the Hugh Edwards story worked. They knew what they were doing. You all beat yourself. What's the word? They ruined it for themselves. If you hadn't have shared that name, this story would have not gone the way it had, but you couldn't help yourself. You had to jump to conclusions. You had to wake everyone up. It's your duty, apparently, because apparently that's going to save the world. You tweeting on Twitter, apparently waking people up is the way to save the world, because it's not. And if that's all you're doing, there was a tweet that someone just put that I shared, and I think you'll really like it.
Go on, read it to me.
Yeah, I'm just getting it now. For the record, you ain't a truther, a freedom fighter, or a conspiracy theorist if you only post things on the internet. Neither are you holding the line in a spiritual good or evil war or on the right side of history. You're just a different caliber of sheep, and that is kind of what I'm saying.
Do you know what?
If that is all you do, right?
Yeah.
You're they wanted you to do that. They set that up for you to do that. There's a theory that's saying the Great Awakening was part of their plan. That they wanted you to use you to sit there and tweet all this rubbish, and you're doing it. You're doing their job for them.
I actually like the real world. Right, it's just a strange thing. I know, like
I love it.
During all of the madness, you know, I got on planes and I went abroad and I went and people say to me, well, why? Because I right, part of my autism, right, is I have obsessive compulsive fixations on places and things, and I like going to Disneyland. Right, people can say that about I love going to Disneyland. Right.
That's your thing, then you go.
That is my thing, because it just, when I go there and I can just zone out and you know calm down. Shut up, John. But the point is, just for doing that, these same people would attack me and say, "Oh, you're at Disneyland. No, oh my God, you must be this, that, and the other." It's like, no, I'm doing what I want to do out in the real world rather than just sitting on Twitter. Thanks.
So this is what me and Rick on the show try to kind of push and encourage every day.
Yep.
They have forced you to go on social media. You are a rebel if you get out in the real world and you talk to real people. That's what they don't want you to do.
Yeah.
So you sharing sensationalist stories that they probably planted, and you think if you're awake by trying to wake people up, sharing the same old regurgitated provocative stuff that's designed to incite anger and cause division. So you're literally divide and conquer. You're doing everything they want. You're not awake. You're not a conspiracy theorist. You're not really knowing what's going on. Get out in the real world. Make real world conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Go and actually talk to people who you claim aren't like you, because I guarantee you they've got much more in common, and it's your social media, and it's they're telling you that, oh, how much do I hear? Oh, I can only talk to people who are awake. What a load of rubbish. My favourite place is my local pub, and my local pub has every sexuality, every colour, every nationality.
I'm a non-drinker, right? I'm teetotal. However, I've started to really appreciate my local pub. I've really started to appreciate it. I like the people there, and I like just, you know...
It's the most amazing community, and that's what I have real world conversations. Sometimes I pop in, my one of my best friends is the barmaid there, so I'll go in, we'll sit and have some lunch. I'll sometimes lunchtime conversations, I'll go in there with different people. I spend a lot of time on my weekends there. My kids love it there. Family pub, we'll go there, chat to people, play pool. Literally so many different people, so many different world views, so many conversations. I'm having more luck waking people up at that pub than I could ever in a week on social media, tweeting out regurgitated crap.
Well, because if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can lean into nuance, and you can explain the situation, and you can have that sort of conversation clearly. Whereas if you're just sitting there with 240 characters or whatever it is, 280 characters, how on earth are you meant to be able to do that? And especially when you're up against someone that's faceless, the other side of a screen, and they are stuck in their ways.
I think if the new algorithms hadn't have come in, but we know that's all deliberate. We know that that's all been put in for the same reason we're saying. It would have been much easier, but you can't get out of the echo chamber anyway. It's like you're preaching to the converted. That's all you're doing when you go, I need to wake people up. No, you're just making tweets.
I don't want to wake anyone up.
No. Well, I mean, we'd like to expose the truth, but you're very naive if you think you're going to do that from tweeting on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or anywhere else.
There seems to be a little bit of a chat, something going on in the chat about the fact that I like the word nuance. I love the word nuance.
I like the word nuance. It's great.
Yeah.
I think that might be an autistic thing. There's certain words we like.
Yeah, I absolutely love the word nuance. I think it is one of my favourite words. You are right, John. because there is nuance in absolutely every situation. And when it comes to looking at an issue, when it comes to looking at a situation, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter if it's in the news, doesn't matter if it's a situation that you're in right in front of you. You have to take every issue and on its merits as you find it and come to your own conclusion based upon what you see and the evidence around you and the facts that you receive. But these echo chambers, doesn't matter where those echo chambers sit, they demand that you see it their way only, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you see 99% of the things that they do the way they do. If you see that 1% different, you're evil. You must be punished. You must be.
But that's part of what COVID's done. Mm-hmm. So I would say pre-COVID, because I see life now almost a bit like before and after. We kind of got to a point in life, and I explained to my kids that, actually people respected each other, like with religions even, it was okay if you were Christian and you were a Muslim, and people didn't try and say, you need to, so they didn't say to the Muslim, you need to be a Christian, let me tell you about my religion. We just respected each other for being of a different religion. And in the same way, if you had a different sexuality or you had a different opinion, you could say, we agree to disagree, and you could respect that. Yeah. And since COVID, they have polarized debate and segregated. They want you put into groups. That is how that they have to do that for divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
They're doing it more and more. Yeah, and they've done that via social media. They did it, first of all, they pushed it with Brexit. That was their first one. You either remain or you will leave. That was their trial. And then after that, you were either unvaccinated or vaxxed. You were pro-COVID or you were an anti-vaxxer.
Do you know what? When people ask me if I am vaccinated, right, we all know the answer, right? But the answer is, as far as I'm concerned, none of your business. And the same thing to you. I don't even want to know whether or not you've received the vaccine, because it's your body and it's your medical decision.
I've got no problem with telling you that, because I have my family haven't had any vaccines since my first son had a reaction to his MMR jab.
Fair enough.
And so I haven't had any vaccines since then, and I feel quite strongly about that. So that's why it's something I will talk about.
Fair enough.
For anyone that's interested. As you said, that's not for me to preach to anyone, and that is also what you learn about when you're being in somewhere like the local pub.
Yeah.
Nobody actually cares in the real world. Twitter and social media aren't representative of real life, and they get you thinking.
But do you know what they could be?
Yeah.
Do you know what it could be? Because, see, this is going to sound quite controversial, and I do that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with Jordan Peterson. Now, Jordan Peterson would like anonymity to end on social media, right? And whilst legally speaking, I see a lot of, and ethically speaking, I do see a lot of issues with that. I also think if people were to stop hiding behind that shield of anonymity, they might actually talk in a proper way.
Yeah, it's true, but I also think that because of various reasons, even people who are hiding from people in terms of safety, and for people who have certain jobs, who it wouldn't really mean freedom of speech either. It would mean the opposite in the end.
That's why I say I kind of agree with it. I kind of agree with it.
In theory, it would work on one level, and another level, it would reduce freedom of speech completely.
I mean, if people are willing to put their face and name to the things they say, they might actually be more thoughtful about the things that they say, is all I'm thinking.
But it's more people that are still living in the COVID era, and they're literally people that still post out about, like, this vaccinated versus unvaxxed, whether you're, like, vaxxed versus unvaxxed. That doesn't exist when you go out in the real world. Nobody cares. It's gone. This, and I often have to say to people, why are you still tweeting this? You're pushing division. That's actually not. They're only more normal people. When I'm out in the pub, right? People make a joke that I don't bring it up. Sometimes they go, "Oh yeah, Natalie over there, she's not fact." We laugh about it together. There's no division, but there is on Twitter, and people are still pushing it. And I think sometimes some of these people, they're so consumed and obsessed and addicted to social media, they're not actually living in real life. That Twitter feels like what it's real for them. But they're not spending enough time out there with real people. And another reason, because they don't want to, because they start saying, I don't want to talk to anyone who had the vaccine.
Yeah.
They ruined my life. Oh, shut up. Are you what, from the same people that you moaned at them because they were ostracizing you're now ostracizing them?
The vast majority of people did not even enter into these discussions, let alone are responsible for anything, right?
No, exactly.
These are very very concentrated small groups of people on both sides of these divides. It's not just on one side of this divide. These are very concentrated small groups of people who are very vocal. And I'm wondering on both sides if there are certain people who were probably paid, and there probably were.
I mean, that's sometimes, but I think that's how Twitter works. That's what they wanted. That's how they polarise debate, haven't they? They will always push the sensationalism. So they will push the COVID cultists, or they will push the most extreme conspiracy theorists. There's no in between. The in between's too boring, Ben.
I mean, let's face it. When you look on the other side of things, you've got Paul. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh,
right?
I know.
Right. So that is just pure insanity. Right?
I mean, yeah, exactly.
It's pure insanity. Where they'll take what's this thing that they do? Okay, and if anybody believes in what I'm about to say, I'm sorry, you're silly. They do this, they call it gematria or something like that, where they take words and they put them into some kind of calculator and then they create numbers.
Don't.
Right? What the hell is these people are nuts. And unfortunately, they will try and discredit people who are talking sense and say, don't listen to the person that's talking sense. Listen to me and my insane numbers words.
Yeah. And the other ones are there's accounts and people that believe everybody now is who are famous is transgender.
Oh
Every
my
single
word!
person.
Do you know? I got called that for so long. It's like I know I look quite effeminate sometimes, and I know I'm beautiful. I know, right? It's my cross. It's my cross to bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know. Okay. That's why me and John work so well, because I am the eye candy. They come to look. We know. But still, I'm getting a lot of "for fuck's sake" in the chat. but no, I've been called that, and it's weird. It's like, okay,
no, but they actually believe it, Ben.
I know they do.
They're not joking.
I know
they
do.
Really, truly believe it, and what's the other one is seriously this like satanic if you make one sign, right? Or
oh my God! Then they'll take a freeze frame.
Yeah, that's it. Freemason. They are a Freemason, Ben. Evil, not on our side. Yep. In fact, somebody take a picture now. Then post it.
Oh no, he's one of them. He's one of them.
There you go. We can post it together. Look, there we go. Ben, I'm doing.
Oh.
Yeah.
John, if you haven't taken a screenshot of both of us doing that, you need to do it right now, right? And you need to post it to Twitter. There you go. Right.
And then people are going to go crazy. They'll actually say we're Freemasons now.
Oh,
Cheale.
Well, the thing is,
that's it.
And they accuse a bunch of women. This is the funniest thing. When I see them accusing women of being Freemasons, I'm like, wait a minute, they can't join.
So there was one I just saw. I think it was yesterday of Helen. Is it Helen Mirren? I think.
Right.
Lady Gaga. And they were in an award ceremony, and they went up and did a symbol. I think it's something like that. I don't know. I'm not up on the symbols,
was it
right?
That?
To each other, yeah, something like that, yeah. And they went, look, there's Satan symbols in. They're doing it now, so we can see. And then somebody come back and went, do you know that's the symbol in sign language for "I love you"?
Yeah, and it's also like when people do this, it literally means okay. That's all it means.
That's what. Yeah, and they were like, well, and then they're trying to argue, and they put in the pictures up. They said this is literally the symbol for "I love you." So, I mean, if you're going to come out, it equally could have been that as much as it could be another symbol. And this is what we're talking about when we say truth. They don't want to, these people literally did not want to hear that it was a symbol.
No, of course they didn't.
They don't want to hear that.
Because their bias has been confirmed. Their bias has been confirmed, and they don't want their worldview shattered.
No.
But the problem is, those worldviews will not serve you well. I hate to use the term problematic, but they are problematic. They're gonna. First of all, they're gonna mean that people don't take you any kind of seriously, right? And I mean, let's face it. We deconstruct things all of the time, and we try and get to the root and the truth of the matter and stuff like that. And people don't take us seriously half the time, right? So how are people meant to take you seriously if you're turning around constantly and going, yeah, your name adds up to 212, and it means you're the devil. Just come on, guys, come on, please.
Yeah. And I had somebody call me Cheale, people unfriend me when I first come back to Twitter, because I was just being positive and saying, you know, this isn't helpful. Keeping on to bitterness and anger. We obviously want justice, clearly. I mean, you know, my best friend died at 31 through the lockdown.
I remember.
You know, at the end of the day, I really want that. But at the same time, I'm not doing her a justice. If for the rest of my life, I'm miserable and I don't do anything, you know, I owe that to her to go out and live my life at the same point, you know, and we can't just live in the past forever. Obviously, we're still going to be fighting for that and fighting for the people to be brought to justice. But we need positivity as well. I got people unfriending me, calling me a shill, saying, you're a disgrace. You know, you don't understand, you know, you just because you are able to get in a better place, other people aren't. People need to stay angry. You've lost the plot. I was like, wow, for being positive, for trying to help people.
John lost, right? Okay, let me break this down. Okay, the situation we find ourselves in, right? John lost absolutely fucking everything. Excuse my language. He lost 2 businesses. Right?
Wow.
He absolutely through the floor. God knows when he's going to get his van back. But the point is, the man lost absolutely fucking everything, and he is still sitting here trying to do what he does and put a smile on people's faces 3 times a week. I haven't got a pot to piss in, right? I struggle day to day to make sure the bills are paid, and I'm in a bit of debt, right? Who isn't at the end of the day, right? But you know, we haven't got a pot to piss in here, but we sit here, you know, several nights a week. We try and break down the truth of the matter. We try and make people smile, and we try and bring a bit of positivity, right? You yourself, you're in your situation that you're in, right? But you sit there 5 mornings a week and you try and bring a bit of positivity. We're also
that's what we're trying to do.
And also, we are all parents, so we want to show our children that there is a better way.
There has to be. And what are we fighting for, Ben? Some people want us to be angry, to never move on from COVID, to still be tweeting the same things, talking about literally not moving forward. Like we can't not ever move forward from lockdowns. Well, we still want justice.
Yeah.
But we can't. If nothing's going to be done on that level, we're just destroying our own mental health, our children's mental health.
Absolutely.
That isn't healthy. You know, and I'm saying that from you know, of course, you know, I want justice being done, but by tweeting about it every day with not actually any direct action, nothing's going to be done. You're just demoralizing people.
You're not just demoralizing people, but you're demoralizing yourself.
Yeah,
right?
And you're like, that is no way to live. What are we fighting for? If that's all our life is, why bother? We may as well all go and, you know, just give up now. All of us. If that's not, there's more to life. I owe it to my.
I want to see the world.
To go out and see the world. Go out and give my kids a proper life. We keep talking about protecting our kids. How are we protecting our kids if the only thing we do is talk about negativity?
Mm-hmm.
That isn't a world for kids. So how are we then better than the people they keep saying, we need to protect our kids from these awful people? Well, what are you doing then to your kids? If all you're doing is sitting at home and telling everybody how, you know, those tweets, I don't want to be living in this world. It just gets worse every day. Well, it actually doesn't if you get out in the real world.
Yeah.
There's if you get out in nature, if you go and see real people, you know, go and laugh, go and smile, go and do an activity. I'm doing Sunday is fun day, you know, at the moment. So every Sunday, me and the kids do an activity. We went paddleboarding, we've gone kayaking, we've gone bouldering, we've just all of these different things. Me and the kids every Sunday. Oh my God, it's so good for you. Yeah. Everything is open again, Ben. And we've actually got what we wanted. We wanted life to go back to normal, and it's not good enough for people.
Yeah, people want to act as if it hasn't, right? And
it has, by the way.
Do you know what? I do want to say that. I do want to say to people, life has, you know, for the vast majority of places and the vast majority of people, life has returned to normal. At no point am I asked for my status certification on anything, anywhere I go. Now, there are places that never reopened because they went absolutely bust. That is true. Okay. But it has, at least, and like Truth Over Lies here says, it has for a short while, but it doesn't matter how long that while is.
But this is what... where he's saying that people can't enjoy the moment. You can't, because for a short while, like, it's the fear mongering again. But it might not just be for a short while. It's this kind of doom, like everything's going to go wrong. Well, maybe it's not if you don't have that self-fulfilling prophecy. And actually, at the moment, all restaurants are open, right? There's no vaccine passes. There are literally every shop is open if you want to go. I mean, obviously, like you said, we're not trying to underplay the devastation that lockdowns did on people's mental health or on businesses.
Absolutely not.
And so obviously, but what we are saying, we thought, people like me and you, Ben, you know, right from the start, what we wanted was a life for our kids to enjoy again, and that is there. Yeah, I can do every activity. And I can take them to the cinema and the theme parks.
Me and John tried to be an example, right, during all of this, of how you could still do these things if you wanted to. You must remember, I went everywhere. I did anything I wanted, and I went and sat on a goddamn plane with no mask on, whilst everybody else was masked around me, and I filmed myself flying off it. We were able to do, and I wanted to show these people that there was another way. And then John himself, he went to 9 European countries, just drove through them, no problem, when there were supposed to be these passes and things like that. Yep. I mean, I went into France with the pass of a 40-year-old woman named Susan that she'd sent me a fucking screenshot of. Yeah. And I entered France and spent 5 days there. Right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, and then that's what I mean. Do you remember I was doing the shop selfie pictures all throughout?
So was I.
COVID? I never. Yeah, and as you were, I never stopped going out. I never can fly. My boys have both got autism, and they're very, very funny about flight. So things like, for them, you know, the hassle and stuff, and you know, having the money now and stuff, but. In this country, we still went out and did everything, and we still are. Do you know what I would say, Ben? That people are acting like the restrictions are still in place. Yeah, because they want.
I mean, to be fair, and I want to go back to. I want to go to a point that Vaughn's actually made in the chat. This is true, right? Government or council-run swimming pools still think the restrictions are still in place.
Yeah, there are. Okay, so and some places in the NHS as well. Yeah. Sometimes you might see face masks or something, but I mean, unfortunately, the NHS in itself is a problem, full stop, for many reasons, and not just restrictions, obviously. Yeah. But generally, it is few and far between.
To be fair, right, I'll give you a rundown of my appendix 2 weeks ago, right? I'll give you a rundown. Yeah. So I was rushed into A&E here in Eastbourne on the Thursday night. I couldn't sit up because I was in so much pain, and there was nowhere for me to lie down. So I spent 4 hours lying on the floor in A&E, right? Oh. And they just left me there. Then they finally took me out the back, and they said, right, the surgeon's coming to see you. I was like, oh, great. So here comes the surgeon. He says, yeah, we're going to do your surgery tomorrow, but over in a hospital 40 miles away. Okay, you got to get there. Right, so off you go. So I went home, got driven over to that other hospital and left there. Spent the entire day there. I got admitted. And then they went, yeah, we're not going to do surgery today. We're going to do it tomorrow. So feel free, even though we've admitted you don't have to stay in this bed if you don't want to. Feel free to go home and come back tomorrow. So that's exactly what I did. I went home and came back the next morning, got admitted back into the bed. And then I had that surgery that day, finally. But I just thought the entire process was convoluted. It was drawn out. It was completely unnecessary that it took so long, because they could have done the surgery in my local hospital. There was nothing really stopping. The surgeon was fucking there. He spoke to me, right? Yeah. But they were like, no, go over there. So there are a lot of problems in the NHS, and lots. But yeah, I had it done. But I
mean, I think one of that, like, as I said, that, you know, yes, life is back to normal, but it's up to us to live in the present as well. Like, yeah, you know, obviously things like in the NHS, the waiting lists are absolutely horrific. GP surgeries are still a nightmare. You know, people aren't getting treated in the way that they should. That is all a problem from COVID. But if you want to go out and actually have a good time with your family, there's nothing stopping. There should be nothing stopping you do that. But I do know of people who can't get out of the COVID mindset. Like because they're on basically social media every day, in their head there's an immigration problem. They think they're gonna get stabbed by an immigrant on the way to Waitrose, or like
do you know,
really?
right?
I mean, or
I've actually had. Okay, this is the first time I've said this on the show. Yeah. I'm probably in a position more than most to be pissed off with the boat people, because on my seafront here in Eastbourne, there are 12 hotels that have the boat people in.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, I didn't know. Yeah.
A few months ago, one of them stole my phone on the pier.
Wow.
Yeah, and we managed to get on the cameras, work out exactly who it was, stop them, and get it back. Right? Yeah. But I've actually had run-ins with them in that respect. And I don't see them as as some invading problem.
No,
so much.
Mean, don't get me wrong. The immigration is a problem in the and I'm not trying to downplay it either. If you carry on letting unmonitored global immigration, not even just here in the UK, if you keep doing that, there isn't the funds, there isn't the facilities, there isn't the services. We don't have the money. Yeah. It's the recipe for disaster.
Oh, it is.
But at the same time, sensationalizing it and adding racism to it isn't helping the matter either.
This is it. Like I said, that's the first time I've told that story on the show. And actually,
but if that was somebody else, you could have put that on a tweet. Yeah. Do you know how many likes that would have got?
Oh, yeah.
That would have gone viral.
But you know what? John makes a good point. This isn't immigration. It's not. I actually agree. It's not immigration. It's something else. But immigration happens through legal channels via legal means. This is something else. And like I say, on our seafront alone, there are 12 hotels full of these people, and they are a problem, and they are causing problems. I will.
Yes.
You know.
That's what I'm not downplaying that either. So I'm not saying it's not true. But I mean, I live in Reading, and Reading's a shithole in many, many ways. But if I go out,
yes,
Reading,
it is.
I don't see an immigrant. Yes, it really is. Yeah. There isn't. Do you know what I mean? I don't see evidence of that, and that's why I have to tell people I'm not going to lie to you. If I go into Reading Town Centre, there's lots of different nationalities, but there isn't a asylum seeker or immigrant problem. It's not. At the moment, it could be if things obviously get worse and worse and worse. But I have to be honest. I'm not going to sensationalise things. Well, but that's not what people want you to say.
Like I say, I'm not going to sensationalise it either. And despite the fact I've actually been a victim of crime at the hands of one of these people, that at the end of the day, that was an individual that chose to make that choice. Now, I do worry. Okay, now here in Eastbourne, we have the world's largest free air show every August on the seafront. It runs for 4 days. It's fantastic. If you can get to Eastbourne around that time, I would say come. And if people want to message me on Twitter and say they want to come down for it, we could always do a big group thing. That'd be quite fun. Yeah. Fun, real world stuff. Let's go watch some planes.
Yeah, real
come
fun.
along.
Brilliant. Yeah. That's exactly what we should be promoting.
Yeah, you should come. Come to Eastbourne. Come to the air show next month.
Yeah, the kids are like that.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's free. It's good fun. There's planes, red arrows, all of that.
Perfect.
But the point is, with 12 hotels at this time, there could be more by the time that comes along, full of these people and hundreds of thousands of tourists, I do worry that there could be a real crime problem this year.
And then that will be used. They always use the most extreme stories to make all of the tabloid, particularly the Daily Mail, and then it will be, and then it gets taken out of all proportion. And that's not to say that there isn't a problem, because I'm not downplaying it. As we said, if something is not done and the people keep coming in that number on the boats, we don't have the money to house them,
no, we don't,
to fund them, and we don't have money for the services. It is a massive problem, but they're trying to say that the problem at the moment is worse than it actually is. The future problem might be terrible, but they are overplaying how serious the situation is at the moment as well.
And I mean, I'm also, you know, I agree with people when they say something needs to be done, right? I completely agree with that. But I'm not gonna demonize all of these people for the actions of one, first of all, because it was only one person that did what they did to me.
Yeah, and some of them there are, like in any community, there are going to be some awful ones. Yeah, but there might actually be some decent ones as well. Do you see? But again, it's every single one that's coming in a boat. Yeah, apparently they're all fighting men. They're all deviants. They're all perverts. This is what do you see what I mean? It's the same thing. You have to put them in a group. You have to hate them. Yeah, it's how it works now, doesn't it? That's you know, you have to hate now. I mean, and one of the ones I'm really struggling with is this LGBT. You know, I've got a lot of gay friends. You know, we've always gone to drag shows, adult drag shows. Yeah, love them. You know, and I've got real problems now with so-called, again, awake people or true for people. They literally now hate anything to do with the LGBT community, and at the end of the day, it's the gender ideology you have a problem with. Stop hating on somebody just because they're gay now, or you know, or just because they go to Pride. Because you've seen some extreme pictures from Pride, they have this view now that Pride is a deviant event. On the whole, Pride is just you know, quite a happy non-naked event. You know, where just people go down the road and then have a drink. You know,
I'm going to my local Pride this year. We're having one in Eastbourne, and I'm going along.
Oh, and if the people go mental about you at this, you can't do that, Ben. It's a disgusting. You know.
Well, I don't care. But the thing is, I want to go along because I want to see for myself. That's as simple as that. I want to see for myself.
I've gone to Pride before. I've got lots of gay friends, and I keep like, you know, me and Darren like sometimes argue about it on the show, because he's one of those that's very much like Pride is now the most disgraceful, disgusting place, and I'm like, but Darren, I've been to them, and I can tell you it's not from personal experience. Yeah. You're taking on pictures that you see, and this is what's happening too much. It's how social media works. They take the most extreme picture or video of and then they paint the entire thing with that brush. And then you're supposed to, again, because it's polarized views, divide and conquer. Yeah. That is the view that you're supposed to hold. Yeah. And I really do feel so sorry for that community, because the amount of hate now that's been put towards just normal people want to get on with their life who are lesbian
put it this
or
way.
Gay.
Put it this way, right? And this is coming, once again, personal experience. 25, 30 miles away from me sits the town of Brighton. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
The town of Brighton is like the LGBTQ WXYZ Y2K bug, whatever, capital of the world, essentially. And it has been ever since, you know, I've been alive. I've even lived there. Okay? I've even lived in Brighton when I was studying at university. And at no point did I ever feel like I was being, you know, converted or dragged down into a cult or anything like that, right? Yes, it's a very, very, very out there, vibrant and, shall we say, gay city, right? And it is, and there's gay bars everywhere, and it's great fun. It's great fun. I mean, going to things like an adult drag event is always, in my view, a laugh. And you know
brilliant.
What?
I love them.
I've had gay men proposition me in the past. Of course they have. But
because of your model looks, Ben.
But all I simply do is, you know, explain my position and say, look, this is my wife. And then she'll sometimes step in and say, I don't know what he's talking about. Just to keep sturdy old pot. But no, I'll just say that this is my wife. I'm just here to enjoy myself, here to have a good time. I'm flattered, but no thank you. Yeah. And then that's that.
But they'd have, but this new hatred of anyone, who apparently that flag now is like demonized as well. For a lot of people, that the new colors or something, whatever. But the old flag. I mean, before this pre-COVID, I was in a relationship with a woman, and I had the flag on my Twitter. Right, so I'm not going to come out and say I'm a hypocrite because at the end of the day, right, that's been part of my life as well, and I find it very, very difficult when they're saying what. So was I a sexual deviant? Was I a pervert just because I was in a relationship with a woman and I had the flag on Twitter? That's what these people are having you believe. You know what I mean? Like this flag makes you a pervert now. It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, it is crazy, but once again, I'm seeing it in the chat. It's all about keeping us divided, because if we are arguing and fighting with one another, our focus and our energy is not on the people who keep doing things to us. And I'm gonna say it. Those regulars who watch the show know the term "death by 1,000 bloody cuts." Your parliament is taking away your rights, tiny little bit by tiny little bit, but you're not focused on that because you're focused on this, that, the other, right? And that's where they want you focused. They don't want you focused on the shit they're doing to you. If they continue to go unabated down the road that they're going, things like a social credit system are a reality for the future. Absolutely, they are.
To me, the biggest problem for us at the moment, right, isn't gender ideology, right? No. It isn't the immigrants. The biggest problem, it's not COVID, it's not vaccines, it's divide and conquer.
Yep.
That is it. And that's what I don't understand. Like when we're claiming again, people think they're awake. They don't seem to understand that. They're so set on all the other things. They cannot understand that they're putting themselves into the groups. They're inciting hatred. They're pushing sensationalist content. All of those things push, divide and conquer, which is what's going to defeat us in the end. If that wins, then we are destroyed. So
she's right.
For me, if you're awake, the biggest thing you need to be doing is not pushing sensationalist content, not inciting anger, not provoking, arguments, not putting people into groups, not polarizing viewpoints. All of those things are pushing us to destruction and possibly a social credit system.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm in a different place to other people, because everybody else seem to be they're the opposite. They want to put people into boxes. They want to hate on people. They want to say you're either with us or you're not.
Yeah.
It's them and it's us.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what's going to destroy us. And that's not what humans are about. It's not what real life is about. It's not what I want to grow up in. It's not the type of world I want.
You're singing from my hymn sheet. You're absolutely singing from my hymn sheet. It's a really, really weird and polarized world that we find ourselves in right now. I don't recognize this world at the moment,
this didn't exist pre-COVID.
No, it didn't. Well, maybe it did, but not to this extreme.
I think it only did for extremists. The only people that had this type of them and us ones were probably, the actual kind of real kind of British, who was it, like Tommy Robinson, who was it, British National Party, is it, like British National Party, or there was the very
National Front or whatever they're called,
that type of thing, and mainly everyone just got along, didn't we? And we respected each other, but they didn't want that. Their plans don't work. For their plans to work and to ensure that we don't stand up to the government, they need us hating on each other. They need black versus white. They need, gay versus straight. They need gender ideology versus gender conformists or whatever it is. You have to be one or other. You're not allowed to be in the middle. And if you're in the middle, people get angry about that. You have to always take a side. And that's, life didn't exist like that pre-COVID.
I don't take sides. I don't take sides. I will, like I said earlier on, when it comes to any situation that you find yourself in, you'll find yourself examining, you find yourself immediately faced with, you have to take that situation on its merits as you find it. And you might come to a completely different conclusion to the person next to you. But do you know what? That's okay.
And that's what we need to push. We need to start pushing. It's okay to agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
My best friends, like who I all absolutely love, most of them are vaccinated. You know, most of us have different opinions on different things, and we
I
sit
don't
there
know
and
which
we
ones
laugh.
of I don't know which ones of my real world friends are and aren't.
I mean,
I haven't asked, and I won't ask. It's none of my
to
business.
be fair, I only know because most of them I've stayed friends with over COVID.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you see what I mean. So it's not like we're having discussions.
No,
about
but
it now,
what I'm
but
saying,
obviously,
but what I'm saying is, it's so far from my mind whether or not they've had a
Exactly that.
medication. It's none of my
Well, so
business.
I have no idea who in the pub has, for instance. So if
No.
I'm chatting to people in the pub, I've got no idea whether they're vaccinated or not, and I'm not even going to ask them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care. It doesn't. It's not a reflection.
That's the correct
It's like
answer.
Brexit. I don't ask people if you voted Leave or Remain.
I voted Remain.
Care.
Controversial.
So did I. I voted Remain, and I voted for Jeremy Corbyn.
But
which
do you know what? But do you know what? If we were forced to vote again, I would vote Leave.
Yeah.
That's controversial. Well, I would vote to remain out. Put it that way, because I now know how European Union works, and I don't want no part of that. Quite frankly,
I don't know, because I think the idea of pushing some things forward, they needed Leave in order for us, in terms of some of the COVID restrictions, that they were able to push those forward because we weren't in the EU. So I think that plan was for part of that. So I think Brexit is a bit irrelevant now after COVID anyway. So it's
just another way to keep us fighting. That's all it is.
Exactly
it's another way to keep us fighting.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's what it was. It was the first thing. You know, like they test things. They test the waters. They put things out as this is what people don't understand. Again, they'll have an article out, and people see an article, won't they? And they go, "Look, this is happening." You know, and I'm trying to go, no, they're testing the waters for feedback.
Not happening.
That doesn't
it's not
mean
happening.
It's actually happening, yeah. And people can't see the difference. You know, they think, look, it's
I mean, going back to what you said earlier, if we had listened to the more extreme elements of people, and they were right, if they were right, we'd be in Gulag right now, wouldn't we?
And most people would be dead.
Yeah.
The only people would be alive were the unvaccinated.
We'd be in Gulag.
If the conspiracy theories were actually right, let's not take their, because they say that, but what they mean is we were right about a couple of things. If they were actually right, every single person that had the jab would be dead. The unvaccinated would be in a gulag, and the elite would be but even that doesn't even make any sense, because where are their slaves? Or maybe the slaves were the unvaccinated. Who knows? But
well, I will say this: everybody's a slave to this. Everybody's a slave to this. It is. That is a digital prison. People don't realise it.
I've had an argument with people about, because there's some people that still are so bitter and angry with anyone that took the vaccine, because they say they took their freedom away and they've ruined their lives and all of this rubbish, right? I said, no. Do you have a smartphone? And I said, the smartphone was more than the vaccine. If you all signed up to a smartphone and you're still using one, that has more of a difference to this new digital world than the vaccine ever did. So you've got unless you are sat there in the forest,
that is a digital prison. That's what it is.
That has more of an impact. So you can't sit there and say that you're that much better from the person having the vaccine if you're sat there on your smartphone and you weren't awake enough not to go and get yourself a smartphone. That has
bloody love my smartphone.
I hate my smartphone. I'm one of those though, and I will openly, I'm no hypocrite. I'm addicted to my phone.
Yeah, we all are.
And I don't want to be, and I use it too much. I know the problems that exist, and really my life would be better. I prefer
to be fair,
before the digitalized world.
To be fair, I don't think I'm as addicted to social media as I was, because nor
am I.
I only really tweet about the shows that we do, or if John's doing something, I'll tweet about that and something like that. Whereas I use my phone a lot because the camera systems on it are fantastic, and I like to make stupid videos of going and doing silly things like going to theme parks and stuff like that. I will vlog my trips, so I just think it's a very handy little device, and I use it a bit too much. I think we all do, but I'm going to continue to do that, because whilst yes, I'm doing things on my phone, I am doing those things out in the real world and having that fun and having that adventure. And when I go and have that adventure, I hope I'm showing people that you too can go and have that adventure. You should come and have that adventure with us. And that's why, you know what, I invited you guys, and I extend that invite. Come down next month. I'll put the dates on Twitter. We'll arrange something.
Brilliant. Yeah, and if I can come, I will come along. That you know, they will love that. I've really benefited from doing that positive challenge that I'm doing on Twitter. I will extend it afterwards. I believe it's a behavioral psychology tool, these social media apps. I don't want to be part of that and pushing these agendas. So I want to use them now for positivity as much as I possibly can. That's not to say if things suddenly took a turn for the worse, that they might, you know, come in useful, but I don't want to be on them all the time. My issue is I know I've got severe ADHD. I've got massive attention problems, and the phones have become a real issue. I used to read books all the time. I haven't been able to complete a book since before COVID. So we're talking 3 years, because my attention is so bad because of the kind of quick dopamine hits on my really, you know, my ADHD. It's the phones make it so much worse. So I really personally need to make an effort to come away from it, because I know it's not helping me or my mental health, and I know that it might not affect other people so badly. So I need to make that personal effort. I'm very self-aware of that problem, and I know that if I have it, I know a lot of other people have got those same issues.
Everybody does. Right, and you know, don't be ashamed to admit it. It's the damn truth. Everybody's addicted to their phones, you know. And I think they were designed to make us that way. Of course, they were.
That they could only implement.
I mean, John's put a question in the chat, right, that kind of leans into this. It's to me, and I'm going to answer it. He says, just as a matter of interest, do you have a plan, as in a phone plan, that allows you to upgrade your phone every single time a new Note or equivalent comes out, Ben? Right, so I get the Samsung Note phones, you know, the top end ones. The answer is yes.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah. The answer is yes. Yes, I do. I have a plan that allows me anytime upgrade. So if the new one comes out, I just push a few buttons and then the new one comes.
See, as much as I like the phone, and this is a good question. If I could go back, right? Because life the way it was, I would choose a life without any of this technology. I was much happier. I think society was better. But I know some people would say not. But for me, I want to go back to when I was 16 to without all this. You know, I used to love
climbing trees, skating with your friends.
You could shut off at 3 o'clock, whether it's school or work. You went home, and we're talking about mental health. People shut off in a good way. You know, you spent time with your family. You like I said, you read a book. You did things that were good for you, that were good for your head.
John's right.
We have to a degree.
I do have to push back a little bit, because we wouldn't have a job.
No, and I understand that I wouldn't have my job.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there would have been, you know, life was very different, and there would be different jobs. But I think as a society, I just don't think that it has been good for us. I think it's caused so many problems. So if I could choose, I would go back.
Let's push on then. Because I think we're 90 minutes into this, so I think it might be time to start winding it down. This is flown by. Okay. But your show. Tell us all about what you do and when you do it and where you do it. Tell us.
So basically, you know, me and Rick, like you, we want to make things positive as well. We want to talk about current events, but we don't want to do it in a sensationalist, doom-mongering style. We could take, you know, the worst stories and, you know, push it each day and in that manner, but we don't want to do that. So we're both quite into psychology, behavioral psychology. We like to take a story and try and look at why the story is being put in the paper, if you see what I mean.
I do.
What's the thinking behind it? Well, that's what we've tried to do. So I choose 3 stories the day before. Rick chooses 3 stories from the day before on open line, and then, you know, but as we do, me and you like to talk, me and him like to talk, so we don't always get through all 6 stories.
Well, it's fair enough.
In the 3 months we've done it, there's been one particular episode where we didn't do one story. We got so sidetracked. We was talking about something else for the hour, and very rarely we get through all 6. But yes, you can call into the show, but people tend to be quite shy. We do get callers in, and that's
I might turn up at some point in the week.
Yeah.
I might pop up and say hello. Depends if I'm out of bed, really.
But yeah, so it goes out to Australia. What's interesting as well, the online chat, like you have the chat here, is very, very interesting. You get a lot of feedback on that, more so when we're doing that. So that's a good place to be. And I think for me, it's been positive because being autistic, I like the way my head can be quite chaotic.
Yeah.
So it's good, like to get matters off my chest, and that's
why I love what we do. That is why I love what we do, because we can look at things in depth and we can talk it through and we can look at the nuance.
The nuance of the debate, and
he's going, fuck's sake, he's saying that fucking word again, aye, fucking nuance, aye.
So it means my head's less chaotic, and it means I think I get now, as I know, I get an hour, and sometimes we get like a 6-minute intro where we can do a bit of a go in and have a bit of a rant. So if something's bothering me, I get to go on and give a full-on rant to people. So it's like that clears my head as well. And I don't have to then I, like you said, and you get to do that on your shows. So then I guess it means that we don't spend as much time on social media. Maybe it gives us more ability to observe things from, rather than, being that kind of social media, putting all our views on that. I get to go on the show. I'm very, very lucky, and I get to rant.
So
and,
you can you can be found on TNT Radio.
What's TNT Radio? TNTRadio.live. And you can see there's Katie Hopkins, the show before, so the hour before me, Katie Hopkins is on, and that's a brilliant show as well. I would recommend that one. And you can go on there. You can re-listen as well on the website. You can see all the shows, the presenters. It is again, it's an alternative media. So
it's good to see something like that popping up, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's why and it's not to see my show, because it's seeing different points of view. What's kind of happening is that for so long we said, don't trust the mainstream media, but the mainstream media is still leading that community, and
they're still leading the conversation.
That's what they are. They are, and we try. And you're trying to yes, we've discussed a couple of things from the news, but we've also been discussing a whole other lot of things, and we try to do that on the show. We don't want to be led by by stories every single day, because otherwise it's a form of brainwashing and indoctrination.
Agreed.
And even we are doing it. So we want more alternative media. We want not just TNT, not just you. We want more people doing it. We want more debate. We want.
And I think at some point, so John's alluding to it. We'll have to have a word with you behind the scenes, because we're gonna have to turn up, aren't we? We're gonna have to turn up. Not just on a phone call. We are going to have to turn up and have a good old rant with you at some point, I think.
Yes.
Definitely. I think I can make myself. Vaughn says, "Why are lefties always autistic?" Well, we are. That's just the way we are. Come on, people. It's a superpower.
Is he saying we're left wing?
Oh, I'm a lefty. I've always been a lefty. It's.
I am more. The thing is, I'm not really into the whole left ring, right ring.
Well, I used to be a lefty.
So did I. I was pre-COVID. I was a Labour member.
I used to be a lefty. Now I don't recognise what calls itself the left. I just don't recognise it.
I don't know. I don't recognise the right. I don't recognise the left. I don't think those things really exist like they did anymore. But yes,
so John asks, "Are we left-handed?" I am. Yeah.
No, right-handed.
Oh. Shun.
So there you go. Well, that's it. I can't talk to you anymore. You're not in my group.
I'm a left-handed person. I cannot write with my right hand, and you people who can are absolute weirdos. That's right, weirdos. Right. I think at that point we're going to bring it down. We're going to say thank you so much, Natalie Cheale, for once again joining me. We're going to have to do this again. Sooner than a year and a half, I think. Sooner than a year and a half.
Yes. It's been great. Thank you for having me.
And also, I am just going to turn up on your show at some point. I'm just going to turn up. I might not even tell you when. You'll just get a phone call. You're right, it's me.
Yes. Yeah, do it. Just phone in. Yes. Love it.
But anywho, Thank you, one and all, for joining us tonight for this one-on-one conversation with Natalie Cheale. There's a link in the chat, if you want to click it, to a PayPal that can donate to my holiday fund, if you'd like to. Or if you don't want to donate to my holiday fund, because I want to go away, you can donate or join our community, join our country, become a citizen of Veradora at ko-fi.com/chasing descent, and you can choose which tier of citizen you wish to become. If you think you're going to have any say in how this is all run, think again. We're going to tell you, and that's it. You're going to own nothing. You're going to be happy. 15 minutes, all that lark. You're getting it all. Anywho, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, one and all, for joining us. It has been great for you.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.